Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now Live at 4 on this Thursday. I think the rain may have finally stopped.
We've had a little bit of everything today. It was muggy, and then it was sunny, and now it's clouding
cool
over again.
And cool.
Yeah.
So we'll get to the weather in just a minute, but first, here's what's making news on this Thursday. State Republicans stripped the governor's budget of most of his policy proposals. Jessica Arp is here with what that all means.
More than 300 people celebrate the groundbreaking of a new technology facility in Janesville. Our Adam Duxter was there.
And critical trade talks between China and the U.S. are about to get underway. We'll find out what's at stake.
Let's take a look outside today. Oh, that's a pretty picture. Things are slowly greening up and flowering.
Slowly but surely. And look at this. Sing along. The sun will come out tomorrow. Chris Reese, Mr. Sunshine, is in the backyard patio right now. Things not too bad out there.
Not too bad at all. I had to give the shout out to Annie with the sun will come out tomorrow. In the meantime, things are slowly starting to dry out for us. Still a lot of cloud cover left over south central Wisconsin, and that's generally going to be the case as we go throughout today. I want to talk about some of these highs. They're a little bit deceiving. We saw highs around 60. Here in Madison, 40s and 50s back towards the north and west as you work your way over towards the lakeshore. Some of those highs were close to the 70-degree mark. That was at midnight. Temperatures have been falling ever since then. In fact, we're at 48 right now. Winds are coming out of the west and northwest at 10 miles per hour. Yes, other temperatures are in the lower 40s. Viroqua at 41 as we speak, 45 in the Dells, 57 and 58 as you work your way over towards Milwaukee and Kenosha. That's where things are just a little bit warmer as that colder air is gradually filtering in. Check out those 70s across parts of northern Indiana. In the meantime, it is the 40s and 50s across much of the upper Midwest. All of these temperatures being cooler associated with the cold front behind this region of low pressure that moved through earlier on, and the cloud cover is also associated with that too. But as we zoom back towards the north and west, there's high pressure starting to slide south out of Canada. That, my friends, will be setting the stage for your weekend forecast coming up. In the meantime, plan on cloud cover for the rest of this evening, and those temperatures will be in the upper 40s and low 50s for some of us. In terms of your first alert traffic, this is the belt line at Rimrock. We are starting to see the traffic volume increase, which is normal for this time of the day. Some additional brake lights are showing up downtown as well, especially outbound Fish Hatchery and Park Street. Be prepared for those delays. We'll be tracking those as we go throughout the show, my friends.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. First at 4, the state budget is moving forward without a host of Governor Tony Evers' priorities.
The Republican-controlled Finance Committee voted to strip more than 130 items from the document. Political reporter Jessica Arp tells us where these issues go from here. Jess?
Well, yeah, among the items that are getting the most attention of the things that they stripped are an expansion of Medicaid and a legalization of medical marijuana. And given comments from Republicans, it's unlikely that those things will move ahead at all. The Finance Committee today voting along party lines to remove all non-fiscal items from the budget. Lawmakers focusing for much of the day on an expansion of Medicaid funding in the state. Republicans saying it would shift costs to taxpayers. Democrats claiming it would help the state, and that a majority of residents support taking the federal money. So could there eventually be a compromise? Don't count on it.
I know that there's a lot of people around this building that are, drooling over the potential for so-called free money. Yet we do know that it's all taxpayer money, regardless of where it's coming from, and that simply growing the size of government shouldn't be the objective.
All of this new money coming into our state in this Medicaid budget and in the Department of Health Services budget is used to expand services for not just people in Medicaid, but for people all over this state in critical areas.
Wisconsin is one of 13 states that have not taken that Medicaid expansion. Other items that were stripped from the budget include a legalization of medical marijuana, an increase in the minimum wage, and granting driver's license to undocumented immigrants. Now, all of those pieces could be added back to the budget in this process or passed ultimately as separate legislation. It's likely that they certainly will be introduced ultimately as separate legislation. Whether they move forward and face the same opposition is probably the question.
It often happens in the case where it's a separate bill. bill.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and this isn't the first time we've seen these policy items taken out. This is a thing that the Finance Committee often considers, because that's where, if you want to get something passed, throw it in the budget for a while. But the Finance Committee has shown over the last few years, they don't really have an appetite for that. They want this to be about dollars and cents.
All right. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Jess. A semi went up in flames outside a Middleton distribution center over the lunch hour. It happened at the UPS center on Murphy Drive. One truck was destroyed and 2 other nearby trucks were damaged. This video was provided by the Middleton Fire Department. It's not known yet what caused the fire. A major medical company is expanding its Rock County headquarters.
Shine Medical Technologies broke ground on its second building today. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with what this means for the community as a whole. Adam?
Well, Mark and Susan, the partnership between Shine Medical Technologies and the city of Janesville started in the early 2010s. And since then, both groups say they've grown quite a bit. And today, Shine breaking ground on its second building in the south side of Janesville, where, in their own words, they'll be taking former nuclear warheads and turning them into life-saving medication. It will be a 43,000 square foot facility that will produce a third of the world's demand for medical isotopes. Shine's founder and CEO Greg Pfeiffer says his company came to Janesville during a trying time for the city.
When the GM plant closed, a lot of people wondered if the city was going to survive. And people wrote books on it, right, at the time, and they were wondering if the city was going to survive. And here's Janesville prospering, not because of Shine, you know, we're a small part of this story, but because the city leaders have demonstrated the same tenacity that we did.
When the new building is done, it will be home to 8 of the company's isotope production systems. And Shine says it will expand its staff from the 90 members it has right now to roughly 150 members. Coming up tonight at 5, we'll hear from local leaders in the city of Janesville why they say having a group and a company like Shine in town makes all the difference.
Adam Duxter live in Janesville. Adam, thanks.
High-stakes trade talks between the U.S. and China get underway in Washington this evening. If there is no deal, President Trump plans to raise tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese imports from 10 to 25% effective at midnight. Katherine Johnson has the latest from the White House.
President Trump expressed optimism about reaching a trade deal with China hours before a second round of tariffs were set to take effect.
I did get last night a very beautiful letter from President Xi. Let's work together. Let's see if we can get something done.
Tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese goods were expected to increase from 10% to 25% at midnight after the president accused China of reneging on key parts of an emerging deal.
We were getting very close to a deal, then they started to renegotiate the deal. We can't have that.
Lawmakers here in Washington are divided over the president's tough stance on China.
The president being firm is absolutely the right thing to do after all the cheating that they've done.
This upheaval and uncertainty between the United States and China is not in the best interest of the economy in the long term.
Some experts estimate a tariff increase to 25% would cost the average family of 4 $767 a year.
A lot of people try and steer it in a different direction. It's really ultimately it's paid for largely by China. And businesses will pour back into our country.
China says it will retaliate in response to tariff hikes. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, the White House.
And investors all over the world are keeping a close eye on what comes out of those negotiations. Stock markets have been on edge all week because of a possible trade war, and today was no exception. The Dow Industrials lost nearly 139 points, ending the day at 25,826. The NASDAQ Composite Index fell 32, and the S&P 500 was off 8.
Tensions between the U.S. and North Korea appear to be mounting once again. Less than a day after North Korea tested a pair of short-range missiles, the U.S. took action against a North Korean ship for violating sanctions. The ship was detained in Indonesia and is now out of service. The seizure comes just hours after U.S. officials say Kim Jong-un's regime fired several short-range missiles. The missiles landed in the Sea of Japan.
The Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee issued a subpoena compelling President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., to come back to their committee to testify. The Senate is demanding Trump Jr. come back to testify about Russian interference in the 2016 election. The president's oldest son testified once in 2017, but some lawmakers have questioned whether he was fully truthful about his meeting with a Russian lawyer. before the election and about his knowledge of a proposed Trump Tower Moscow deal.
To now get a subpoena to go again and speak again after close to 20 hours of telling everybody that would listen about a nothing meeting? Yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
It was a Republican chairman, Richard Burr from North Carolina, who issued the subpoena, prompting a backlash from many of his colleagues. This comes as House Democrats are still fighting to get the unredacted report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller and to get him to testify.
Pope Francis is taking new steps to combat sex abuse in the Catholic Church and hold leaders accountable. Pope Francis issued groundbreaking church laws aimed at finally ending clergy sex abuse. Starting next month, all priests and nuns will be required to report abuse and cover-ups, including those by their superiors to church authorities. The decree covers sex abuse of minors, child pornography, and the abuse of power.
It introduces sweeping changes on holding bishops accountable for either committing sexual abuse or covering it up.
The Pope's worldwide mandate requires that every diocese establish an office to deal with abuse and develop a way for people to easily and confidentially report abuse. The new procedures lay out timeframes and responsibilities and puts the onus on the Vatican to respond in 30 days.
Well, still to come at 4. Hey, Alexa, are you violating children's privacy?
There are big concerns about this. Some advocates say the Echo Dot marketed to children does bring up privacy concerns. We'll talk about that when Live at 4 continues.
Child advocates are demanding the federal government investigate Amazon's popular Echo Dot Kids Edition.
They say the kids version of Amazon's Alexa violates children's privacy and it's putting kids at risk. Amazon's Echo Dot is marketed as a way to educate and entertain kids, but consumer and public health advocates say the Amazon Home Assistant violates children's privacy. An investigation led in part by Georgetown Law's Institute for Public Representation published this video showing that the device will not forget what children tell it, even after parents try to delete the conversations.
Alexa, remember I am allergic to walnuts.
Did you just say that I'm allergic to walnuts?
Yes.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Even though there's a delete button and you can press the delete button, it doesn't actually delete the information. It actually always comes back.
The group sent a complaint to the Federal Trade Commission today demanding that the FTC investigate Amazon for violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. In a statement, Amazon said its Echo Dot Kids Edition is compliant with the Children's Online Privacy Act.
Well, it is almost the weekend in the 608. Hey, Alexa, what's going on? We don't need Alexa. We have Emmy Fink.
You got Emmy. Hey,
Emmy. What's going on?
How you doing? That's the best tease yet. I love it.
All right, so you have a coming home celebration that's kicked things off here.
It is a little bit of a coming home for a great band who got their start right here in Madison. So no doubt people will be welcoming back the Pine Travelers back home to where they started with open arms. You can see them actually tonight at 9 o'clock. Still plenty of time to get there. That takes place at the High Noon Saloon. They actually bring the best of like roots rocks, some funk and outlaw country, and they've played all over the country. The band is actually coming home to throw their release party for their new album, Straw House.
Oh, very good.
It's exciting.
There's also a great dance option.
So, I mean, usually Thursdays there's a little bit later on the event-based side, but there's lots of stuff going on. So tonight as well, America's leading Latino dance group, Ballet Hispanico, has spent almost 50 years bringing communities together through dance. And tonight at 7:30 at the Overture Center, they're going to bring them to Madison. So artistic director Eduardo Villaro leads the group of Latino dancers from all around the world for you to enjoy. I mean, that's just artistic right there. Watch that.
Yeah, beautiful.
As we were talking about yoga, very yogi.
Is there something going on Sunday?
You know, I mean, you don't want to forget. You got to call your mom, put it in your thing. Happy early Mother's Day
to you as well, huh?
Thank you. So there's truly nothing better than a homemade gift. Am I right?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
your son ever make you? I mean, it's like
treasures.
Gold.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't want to ever get rid of it. Well, you can head downtown to the Dream Bank at the Spark Building on East Wash Saturday morning from 9:30 to 12 noon. You can get creative and show your mom the mom in your life just how much she is loved and adored. So there's going to be crafts and Mother's Day card making. The best part is you leave the mess there. I've taken Leona down there, and it's so much fun to put stuff together and then just be like, it's not my job.
Yeah, you leave the mess and then you get a little take-home gift.
Exactly,
really
and
cool.
then you just make your mom's day the next day.
Yeah, now speaking of gifts, there's a good gift idea for Mother's Day if you're looking for something.
Well, how about this one? Who's gonna sing?
I told our producer she's gonna want to sing.
You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. No, you're not. Let me see. All right, maybe a little bit. All right, you don't want to miss soft rock powerhouse Chicago, who is ranked #4 on the Billboard magazine's top bands. Songs If You Leave Me Now and Hard to Say I'm Sorry, they've been mainstream on radio now for what, decades? Hear the band's vocal harmonics and legendary horn section in person Sunday, 7:15 at Overture. My family's all about doing these experience gifts.
Yeah.
So instead of giving her something, that she's never going to use, go take her somewhere. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I'm going to go get a drink of water.
All right, well, we'll carry on here.
All right,
we have another
Susan.
musician.
All right, I have a few last-minute things that you can do. So, musician, I need the water too.
All right, well, I'm leaving too.
Musician Greg Brown brings his folk vocals to the Barrymore on Saturday night. Saturday night also at the Majestic has Twin Peaks. They're an indie rock and kind of folk band as well. And then Sunday night, Red Zone on Regent Street will host the Midwest Mix-Up, a night of metal guitar heroes, and Felix Martin will headline that show. So if your mom is super cool and she's into metal, take her to the Red Zone on Sunday night.
Chicago's more my my speed. I like Chicago.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
big
Let's
in-
go.
They're big in college. All right, happy Mother's Day.
You guys too.
Thank you, Emmy.
Not you.
Well, I've been called that.
Yeah.
We'll move along. Get this month's Madison magazine for all of the best in the Madison area.
Still to come, when it comes for shopping for clothes, sometimes that can be difficult.
Especially if you don't specifically identify with one gender.
Shopping for clothing isn't so easy if you're gender fluid. I'm Tom Hansen. How retailers are responding.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Take a look at this. Proud dad Christopher Corey took to Twitter to share a special moment of his son scoring a wonder goal during a kids' football match in Miami. 8-year-old Jamesy flipped the ball over an opponent before unleashing a nearly 60-foot half volley, leaving the keeper with no chance.
Wow.
That is outstanding.
Wow.
8 years old.
I watch a lot of soccer. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
A 91-year-old great-grandmother has an unusual birthday tradition.
She goes tandem skydiving every year. KNUE tried it for the first time when she turned 88. She liked it so much, she decided to do it every year from there on out. This year, Kay brought her granddaughter and great-grandson with her.
Any desire, Chris, to jump out of a plane?
Sometimes, but no, not today.
Not today. My dad did that for his birthday.
Yeah.
Remember, I think it was his 73rd birthday.
Would
He
you
did-
skydive?
I go back and forth on it. I bet it makes you feel
My
alive,
mom
but I don't know
wants
if I
to
have
do
the
it.
guts.
I don't want her to do it, but my mom, I'm the protective son. It's really funny. Like, I'm the one who's always like, Mom, where are you? You should be home by now. But yeah.
Aw, good boy.
But she wants to do it, and I'm just like, I don't know. So yeah, we'll see if she
should go
convinces
together.
me.
Yeah, go together.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right.
absolutely.
maybe some skydiving weather coming up a little better than we've had.
Well, we'll see if we can get some sunshine this weekend. I do think that's going to be the case. We've just got to shake this cloud cover first. So coming up, I'm going to tell you guys when I think that's going to happen. Well, while we dealt with the cold rain, the story could have been worse, especially as you work your way towards parts of northern Wisconsin and into Minnesota. That's where they got in on a winter storm yesterday on the 8th day of May. In fact, some of the snowfall records that were broken included a daily snowfall record of 8.3 inches of snow in Duluth. And then on top of that, the most snow to ever fall in the month of May as we went into Thursday, and they received over 10 inches of snow for this month. So yeah, it could have been worse compared to what we dealt with yesterday. Right now, we do have a lot of the cloud cover out there. That cloud cover, folks, that's stuck around pretty much all day long. In fact, you can still see some of that cloud cover right now. It tried to thin out at one time, but that blanketed cloud cover has actually thickened up a little bit before I do think we'll finally get rid of that moving into the overnight hours. Here's Doppler track right now. Things are all clear for us. In the meantime, as we work our way back towards the north and east, though, that's where you see those showers pushing on out. You're talking Green Bay, Sturgeon Bay, up towards Door County, starting to move into the UP of Michigan as we speak. But here's a live look outside right now. Things are very cloudy, and they're going to be staying cloudy. Temperatures are also going down as well. We saw a high of 60 today. We're right now at 48. Winds coming out of the west-northwest at 10 miles per hour. And that high of 60, folks, that's 6 degrees below where we should be. Normally, we top out right around 66. So we're seeing how the cloud cover and all the rain has really kept those temperatures colder than normal. Check out some of the other highs, though. You work your way towards Milwaukee, we're talking a high of 69 earlier before that cold front began to sweep on through. Here's temperatures right now. Things are starting to cool off. Still warmer towards the east, but cooler as you work your way back towards the west. That is where we're at 41 in Viroqua as we speak. In general, the overall pattern does show the warmer temperatures south and east of town. Some colder air back towards the north and west. This is overall the colder air pushing in behind a cold front and that warm surge of air that you see ahead of that cold front, which is typically common in these setups. But this region of low pressure as a whole is what's going to keep that cloud cover around tonight. And then eventually, this high pressure that you see across the north begins to work its way into town. As that does so, that is when we're going to see the cloud cover begin to fade away, more sunshine into your Friday. And not just Friday, we'll see sunshine starting out into Saturday as well. There might be just a little bit of cloud cover on the southern half of the state moving into Saturday, and then into Sunday we'll start things out dry before another little rain chance comes at us Sunday night. But let's zoom in close to home and take you hour by hour on things. Waking up tomorrow morning, expect those temperatures to be into the upper 30s and low 40s for a lot of folks. Not terrible, but a little chilly out there. By lunchtime, temperatures will be into the low 50s. We'll top out into the upper 50s for those highs. Here comes the cloud cover into Saturday. I don't think it's going to be a lot of cloud cover, just some of the high filtered cloud cover throughout your day. And then Saturday night into Sunday, we'll start to see those temperatures going back down into the 40s. But this is the bigger pattern. Check out Monday. We're still staying dry at this point. A little rain chance Tuesday into Wednesday, then Wednesday night into Thursday, we dry things out again, and perhaps we're going to be staying dry for a little bit, which is a pattern that we would like to see. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center has us in a pretty solid probability of being below average when it comes to precipitation, not just through the next 6 to 10 days, but dragging that out through the next 8 to 14 days as well. So this actually means that with the drier pattern and a little bit more sunshine, we're going to start to see those temperatures rebound, going towards average and then likely above average by the time we get you towards the end of the next 6 to 10 days. That's something we haven't truly been able to say in quite a while. 39 again tonight, winds coming out of the north and northwest at 8 to 15, 60 as we go through to tomorrow. We might see some cloud cover early, but I do think we'll warm up into the afternoon and see more sunshine joining the picture as well. Then there's the weekend. We're talking temperatures in the 50s and 60s for highs. A few rain chances. That rain chance Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, I think that's mainly going to be an overnight type of deal for us. Not a big impact rain event, and then more sunshine by next weekend.
And, hey, you got an 80 on there.
There is an 80 on there. I was, going to see if anyone noticed that, but we'll see. Things are finally starting to warm back up, and by the end of May, our average temperature is well into the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting there.
We're getting, it's about time.
Yes,
it is about time. I cannot believe I started that segment with the snowstorm and the roots, but it happens.
It happens. Yes, it does, especially up there.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, from the runway to retail, more and more clothing stores are starting to cater to customers who don't necessarily identify with a specific sex.
And one New York City clothing store has eliminated the men's and women's sections completely. Tom Hansen reports.
Instead of girl power, boy power, we've got day power.
Rob Smith is pushing the boundaries of binary, launching what he says is the world's first gender-free store in New York City.
We're not age specific, we're not race specific, we're not gender specific. We're for everyone.
This is really a store for everybody.
That's right, this is a store for everybody.
After spending decades working for major brands from Victoria's Secret to Macy's, he noticed a pattern.
Every time you go in and you start shopping, and you start to look for something, you make a binary decision. That binary decision is, am I going to the men's floor or the women's floor? I'm going to go click male or female when I shop online.
Smith wanted to change that by creating the Fluid Project, a gender-fluid clothing store.
Fluid represents the space between the binary, the ability to float back and forth without being stuck in one end of the spectrum.
Gender-free clothing has been gaining momentum in the mainstream as more young people identify with non-traditional gender labels, according to the journal Pediatrics.
I think it really just destigmatizes the idea of
shopping in like a women's or a men's clothing section if that's not the gender you are assigned or necessarily identify with.
I want to spend money on good fashion that's supporting people feeling okay in today's world.
The trend is appearing in fashion magazines and on the runway. And now, Smith's looking to spread his brand across the country.
This is a generation that is really focused on purpose. They care about women's rights, gay rights, racial rights. They care about the environment, and they care deeply about equality. And they are looking for brands that reflect their values.
Values that Smith hopes will bring in business and inspire other stores to break the binary as well. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
According to Rob, the Fluid Project has done well for its first year in business, and now the company plans to expand its online store to reach even more Americans.
Really interesting. Well, still to come before, as our population ages, more and more elderly adults need special care.
And that care sometimes falls into the laps of the grown children.
There's a growing trend that allows patients to pay their own family members to take care of them. I'm Kenneth Craig with One Family Story.
There's a live look downtown this afternoon.
It's getting green?
Yeah, getting greener little by little, even under gray skies today. It'll appreciate the sun when the sun comes back. As the elderly population continues to grow, so will the need for more caregivers.
Often family members must make tough choices, like quitting their own jobs to stay home or leaving a loved one in the care of a stranger. A revolutionary home health care program is trying to change that, as Kenneth Craig explains.
See, that was your birthday party?
Legia Prezioso is 93 years old and suffers from dementia. Her son's fiance, Peggy, recently became her full-time caregiver, part of a promise he made to his father.
He asked me to look after my mom, and several weeks later, he died.
Wow.
So I took that promise pretty seriously.
Peggy assists Legia with everything from her medication and meals to simply getting around. The arrangement is called self-directed care,
Try to unlock.
which allows the sick or elderly to hire their own family and friends to take care of them, and those loved ones get paid for it. But patients don't have to pay out of their own pockets. The program is funded by Medicaid.
Without being paid to take care of her, I would have to go out and get a job. And then we'd have to have somebody come in, and she's not comfortable with that.
Legia's case is managed and coordinated by a company called Freedom Care, which oversees thousands of New York patients.
This is really the future of home health care.
CEO Yoel Gabay believes the model could make a big dent in the growing shortage of caregivers driven by aging baby boomers, while also improving health outcomes for patients.
Nobody's going to care for family like family. We've seen the hospitalization numbers drop significantly from national averages.
Most states have similar Medicaid programs for seniors. Salaries vary state to state.
It recognizes me.
Peggy uses an app equipped with facial recognition and tracking technology, a safety mechanism designed to prevent fraud. And I bet that you can feel really comforted and good every day when you leave the house, knowing that your mom is in the best hands.
It does allow me to kind of not stress out about that.
And her biggest wish was to die in her own home. She didn't want to go to a nursing home.
And this family is grateful they're now able to do what they can to make that happen. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
The program is only eligible to Medicaid recipients. A nurse determines medical eligibility and how many weekly hours of care each patient receives.
That's an interesting idea.
It is.
When it comes to modern medicine, when we come back, there is strength in numbers.
We'll tell you about a unique program for heart patients in Madison. It's a group medical visit and cooking class all in one. That's when Live at 4 continues.
All right, let's go ahead and check out traffic as folks begin to head home on this Thursday. And of course, per usual, we're watching the Beltline backups as we speak. This is the Beltline at Rim Rock looking towards the eastbound direction. And of course, we are seeing more and more of those cars starting to slow down. But oddly enough, compared to what it could be, especially on a Monday or a Friday, rush hour not that bad right now. We're seeing traffic move anywhere from about 30 in the slowest spots. Again, that's going to be between Park Street, Rim Rock, and John Nolan. And then elsewhere, it's moving about 50 miles per hour. That's right around Seminole Highway and over towards Fish Hatchery. The biggest slowdowns are going to be on Verona Road. That's where some of those speeds are as slow as 7 miles per hour right now. This is as you work your way north on 151, approaching that County Highway PD and McKee Road intersection. Once you get to the north of that, things get a little bit better. And then, of course, the stoplight going south, that's going to create some delays. So just be mindful of that. In the meantime, the slowest route right now is going to be Verona Road to John Nolan with an average speed of 38 miles per hour. That'll take you about 7 minutes. Guys,
busy day out there.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Chris. Well, it's an innovative and interactive approach to healthcare, group medical visits. Led by a physician, group medical visits bring together patients with common needs. At UW Health at the American Center, cardiac patients are cooking together and learning the benefits of the Mediterranean diet. The group meets once a week for 6 weeks at the Learning Kitchen.
Patients get a checkup, as you just saw there, and then they have a chance to share common experiences and stories with each other, and that leads to building real friendships. Dr. Tom Walhouse from Unity Point Health Meriter, he's a cardiologist there. He's one of the physicians who brought this concept to Madison. Tom, good to see you.
Interesting concept.
Thank you for being here. It is a really interesting concept. It was fun to be there and see how all of the patients interact together. Who are the people who come to this class?
So it's a variety of people. You have to have a diagnosis of some common problems that are heart-related: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, or a history of vascular disease, atrial fibrillation. Any one of those things that you can come to this class.
But
it's not a class, it's a medical visit.
You don't need a doctor's referral to go.
You don't need a doctor's referral to come to this. So a lot of patients come through other providers. Some of them are my patients, some of them are some of my partner's patients, some of them are come from the community.
So this gets billed through insurance?
It does.
It's a medical...
It's a medical visit. So people come, they get, I examine them. It's a brief examination, but it's shared with other patients. It's confidential, but it's a medical visit, and we get the opportunity to teach in addition to providing some medical care.
Some camaraderie and cooking.
Right, so cooking is the other neat feature. We have a state-of-the-art studio. We've got a professional chef. I'm not a good cook. I learned just as much. We learn to use things in the kitchen, how to use a knife properly, how to cook things. The idea is healthy meals. The idea is to cook things that are simple, that are healthy for your heart. And there's a life coach there, so there's a component of this that has to do with wellness and how to live a healthy life. So we start with a meditation. We do a little teaching. We have an open session for people to talk to us about what their experiences are and shared experiences. And then we cook a meal together, and while we're eating it together, I usually pick a topic that has to do with something to do with the heart or healthy life. Last night we talked about exercise, for example. We don't always talk about food.
What a great idea.
It's such a great idea. I think you could do this for any specialty, but especially for heart patients. Aren't cardiac patients at a higher risk of depression and things like that?
Yeah, so there's... The amazing thing is that there's a common ground here. There's a lot of common illnesses. It's vascular disease, it's dementia, brain disease, it's cancer. They all seem to be responsive to healthy eating, healthy cooking, healthy lifestyle. So there's a common ground here. So I think you could expand it to cancer patients. You could expand it to, patients who are at risk for Alzheimer's. I just happen to be a cardiologist, so we focus on cardiology.
And I understand people hang around afterwards, you just talk and chat and build friendships?
My wife's birthday was yesterday, and I had to get out of there early, but a lot of times I have to stay, or I love to stay. You make friends. Everybody, you saw.
Yeah.
People, we've got a fantastic group right now, really just a neat group of people. And they hang around, and they talk to us, and they ask questions, and we talk about coconut oil, and we talk about exercise, and we talk about you know, you name it, you can't imagine what comes up, and we try to do our best to figure out what the right advice is.
But they're all on the same journey, so they all have similar experiences.
Which is neat.
And it's so great to meet other people
Yeah.
who are going through the same thing you're
Yeah,
going
I think
through.
you saw that people share their, this happened to me, oh, that happened to me as well. And they find that they have some common, you know, shared experience, and they also have some common questions, and it's good for me to be able to sort of spend time on the same topic with a larger group of people.
And they made minestrone last night, and it smelled so good.
It was good. I brought some home.
The cooking for your wife's birthday? Or
Yeah, that wasn't the only thing I brought.
Thank you, Doctor. The Cooking for Health, Heart Health classes held every Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the Health Center at
the Learning Kitchen at UW Health at the American
Help
Center.
me out here.
Yeah.
The current session ends May 29th, but to register for future sessions, call 608-440-6600 or go to uwhealth.org.
And Dr. Walhouse, when is the next session? Probably later this summer or early
Probably
fall?
later this summer. Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to finish one at the end of May and then probably start June, July.
So just call or get online for more info.
Yes.
Doctor, thanks for being
Keep up the great work.
What a great
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
We'll be right back with the final check of your forecast. The sun will come out eventually.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
As Annie likes to say. Tomorrow, there'll be sun. So, in the meantime, we are looking at cloud cover. That's going to linger overnight tonight. We'll see those lows to the upper 30s, some folks into the lower 40s. Again, we can't rule out some patchy fog into tomorrow as well. But then comes the sun. We'll see those warming temperatures as well. Highs will be right around 60, so staying a little bit cooler but warmer than we were this afternoon.
We'll take it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Chris. Speaking of tomorrow, coming up here, Lola and Louie will be along with the News Hounds Now update.
And our Michael Bruno will check out Playtime Productions' presentation of The Red Shoes. It's a production by youth for youth. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. In today's Final Touch, a driver's reckless decision could have claimed a teenager's life.
If it hadn't been for a quick-thinking bus driver. This New York school bus driver's quick reflexes almost certainly saved a student's life. It happened as driver Samantha Call stopped to let a student off her bus. Watch what happens next. A car seemingly ignoring the stop bus speeds by the open door.